Welcome to lesson 3, which is what we're going to do in this lesson, you ask. We're going to make a logo with shapes. We're going to create a new document. We'll use tools and commands to create a variety of shapes, understand live shapes, create rounded corners, work with drawing modes, use the place command, use image trace to create shapes, and simplify paths. Your finished product's going to look like this little toucan Sam that I've got on my screen. So isn't it seem exciting that we're going to do something that looks like this? I'm excited. I hope you are excited as well. So I'm just going to click. I'm going to close mine. And then we're going to all click File and then New. It's going to create a new document. In the new document dialog box, we're going to change the following options. We're going to select the print category at the top. Select the letter blank document preset if it isn't already selected. You can set up a document for different kinds of output such as print, web, video, and more by choosing a category. For example, if you're designing a flyer or poster, you can select the print category and select a document preset. The document will be set with the units and points most likely. The color mode is CMYK and the raster effects to high, which is 300 PPI, which are all optimal settings for a print document. On the right side of the dialog box in the preset details area, we're going to change the following. Alright, in the name, we're going to change this to Toucan Logo, Toucanlogo, Toucan Logo. The name will become the name of the Illustrator file when you save it later. Units, we're going to change from, choose inches. So instead of points, we're going to change this to inches. And in the width, we're going to change this to 8. The height, we're going to change that to 8. Orientation needs to be portrait. This is portrait right here. Artboards, we want it to be 1, which is the default setting. You'll learn about what bleed option is shortly. At the bottom of the preset details section on the right side of the new document dialog box, you will also see advanced options and more settings. You may need to scroll to see that. I had to scroll to see more settings. They contain more settings for document creation you can explore on your own. And once you've set this to 8 and 8, we're going to click Create, and that's going to create our new document. So with the document open in Illustrator, you'll now save it to your OneDrive. So click File, Save As, go to your Save on your computer, go to your Lesson 3 folder or Illustrator folder, wherever you have saved that. Make sure the file name is Toucan Logo, and then click Save. Adobe Illustrator AI is called a native format and is your working file. So let's click OK. Leave all that default. So choose Window, and then let's go to Workspace, and let's reset the essentials. So everything is back to how it originally was. In the Properties panel, we're going to click Document Setup. This dialog box is where you can change document options like units, bleeds, and more after a document is created. You'll typically add bleed to artboards for printed artwork that needs to be printed all the way to the edge of the paper. In the bleed section, right up here, we're going to change the value in the top field to 0.125. All of the fields should change as well because we had them linked over here. And then click OK. Bleed is the term used for an area that extends beyond the edge of the printed page, and it ensures that no white edges show up in the final trimmed page. choose View, excuse me, Fit Artboard and Window. The area between the red line around the artboard and the edge of the white artboard is the bleeds area. Alright, and if you'd have noticed, you might not have noticed, but in the thing that we opened up, the final toucan thing, it had this bleed around the edge. I should have probably pointed that out, but I didn't. So in the first part of this lesson, you're going to create a series of basic shapes, including rectangles, ellipses, and polygons. Shapes you create are composed of anchor points with paths connecting the anchor points. A basic square, for instance, is made of 4 anchor points on the corners with paths connecting those anchor points. A shape is referred to as a closed path because the ends of the paths are connected. A path like a line can also be open. An open path has distinct anchor points on each end called endpoints. You can also fill open and closed paths with color, gradients, or patterns. The main logo art is going to be our toucan bird. You're going to start creating the bird with a few rectangles, and you'll explore creating them using 2 distinct methods. Select the rectangle tool in the toolbar. That's this guy right here. Rectangle tool. First, we'll create a larger rectangle that will be the body of the bird. In the middle of the artboard, drag to create a rectangle that is roughly a 2-inch square. Then release the mouse button. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to resize it shortly. And you remember when you see as you create it, you'll see the numbers moving. So it doesn't have to be perfect. There's approximately 2 inches. If you draw a perfect square, a magenta line appears diagonally in the shape. Also, as you create the shape, you can see the width and height of it, which I just told you. Move the pointer over the small blue dot in the center of the rectangle. That's called the center point widget. And when that changes to look like this, drag the shape up more in the top half of the artboard. Next, you'll create a smaller rectangle to serve as the bill or the beak of the bird. With the rectangle tool still selected, click to the right of the rectangle you made to open the dialog box. Change the width to be 0.56 and the height to be 1, and then click OK. And that creates a new rectangle. Creating a rectangle by clicking rather than dragging is useful when you know the size of the shape you need. For most drawing tools, you can either draw with the tool or click to create a shape of a specific size. All of the shape tools except for the star tool and the flare tool create live shapes. Live shapes have attributes such as width, height, rotation, and corner radius that are editable without switching from the drawing tool you are using. With 2 rectangles created, you'll make some changes so they look more like the body of a bird. Select the selection tool. Click anywhere in the larger rectangle to select it. Drag the top middle point down to make it a little shorter. And when you see approximately 1.75, let it go. When you started, you created the larger rectangle at an approximate size. As you just saw, you can later resize a rectangle by dragging, but you can also do so with more precision in the Properties panel. In the Transform section over here, make sure the Maintain Width and Height proportion is deselected. That thing right there. It should look like that with a line through it now. Turning it on is useful when you change the height or width and you want the others to change proportionally. Select the width of the W value and type 0.88. Oops, hang on. 0.88. And press return or enter. Now the smaller rectangle, the beak of the bird needs to be rotated to look more like a beak. Click the smaller rectangle to select it. Move the pointer just off a corner when you see these little circles like this. drag it counterclockwise to rotate the shape. As you drag, didn't tell me this, as you drag, press the shift key. Look at there, and it drags it in rotation increments of 45 degrees. When the angle of 90 shows, let it go and leave the shape still selected. Drag the selected rectangle by the center point widget. Align the top edge of the other rectangle. So let's do this, and top edge like that. A magenta line should show the top edge when they are aligned, and mine did. By default, shapes are filled with white and have a black stroke border. Next thing we're going to do is change the colors, but before that, we've been doing this video for 11 minutes. So let's click File and then Save and end this video. Capiche?